for tonight. We'll probably come back tomorrow after, so the Senate can have time. You don't want, you're going to come back?
No, we want to work late.
Well, I don't know about that. Okay, so we actually have this broken up into 3 different packages. First, I will say, in regards to Kansas State Polytechnic and then also the Kansas State Extension, those 2 provisos that you provided in the last round, we'll accept both of those. Obviously, we'll have the inclusion of fiscal year 2021 on the Kansas State Polytechnic, so we have that clarity of what year it's supposed to be paid out of. But we do accept those, and then we have some provisos as well that we would like to have you entertain. So we'll start with the first package, package 1. This is basically going to be, for the most part, the pay increases and also education, and there's some other items in there as well. So the first item, page 1, item 1, which is the $30 million for fiscal year 2021. House position, because we have that obviously in the education bill. Is it Senate Bill 175? Yes. That will be debated in both chambers. And that's the reason why we don't have the education funding in our budget, because it is in the version of House Bill 2119 that now is in Senate Bill 175. We basically, from the package that you provided us last time, we accepted your offer in regards to the Board of Regents for the Excel and Career Technical Education Tuition Fund. However, we just took the language of not reviewing it omnibus. If we're going to add the funding, we just said there's no need to review it on omnibus. We did include the $7.4 million for the docket fee fund in regards to the judicial branch, due to the fact that obviously with COVID-19 we had all of our courts closed, and the personnel for the judicial branch makes up the majority of their budget. Oh, that isn't right. Okay. We are not concurring with the Senate. We're actually taking the House position on that. That's a misprint, and add the funding. Anyway, so going back, since the largest item for the judicial branch in their budget is personnel, and obviously we're hoping to have everything back to normal. This is a restoration of the fees that they lost because they could not have court proceedings during this last year. Okay, so in regards to salary adjustments, and I'll just make this blanket statement, in regards to all the salary adjustments that were in the budget, we're going to take those and take the Senate position and discuss those at omnibus. So the State Bank Commissioner obviously is going to be discussed at omnibus. We did concur with the Senate in regards to USD 499, or their local option budget, so we added the funding there. The House position on Department of Education, page 4, item 2. Again, with the House position, taking that out because it's in the contents of Senate Bill 175 now. The same with item number 3, and then also item number 4 on that package. Item number 5 on page 4, the Juvenile Transitional Crisis Center pilot account, House position, and we add the funding. The $8.3 million for the Excel and Career Technical Education Tuition Fund. Again, the only thing we did is we just took out the review at omnibus because, I mean, it's only 3 weeks away. Add $1.4 million for the National Guard Scholarship House. We did concur with the Senate in regards to the pay increase for the employees for the Board of Regents. And then here we have a modified, actually this is wrong too. Well, that's the description. So This was our original plan, in which where we have the $2 million for the need-based aid scholarship. The only thing is that we took out was having the provision in there that they had to follow the policy with the Board of Regents in regards to deferred maintenance, which you'll see on the position side. And the reason why that was coming somewhat problematic when trying to explain this particular language. And then also the Board of Regents is currently in the process of building a policy and creating a policy for deferred maintenance. So there's no policy yet there. And then this will, so that's, we took that out of the original description that's in the blue sheets. On item number 6 for the Board of Regents, we concur with the House and add the language so they can transfer funds. This is a modified Senate position to do basically 25 million total. So we have our position of 10 million for the need-based aid scholarship and recruitment fund. We reduced the amount by 10 million on the post-secondary system-wide number 1 to 14.9 million to go to basically operations for the Board of Regents or post-secondary education. Healthcare Stabilization Fund, again, this is a pay increase, so concurred with the Senate, and we'll discuss this omnibus. Judicial Branch, concur with the Senate and review it omnibus. Same with item number 3 and 4 with the Judicial Branch and 5. Then we have the State Banking Commissioner, again, concur with the Senate, review it omnibus. And then we concur with the Senate in regards to other statewide adjustments. And that was basically the 2% reduction in SGF. So we concur with the Senate and do not delete the funding. State employee pay, again, we concur with the Senate and delete the funding and review that in omnibus. We concurred with the Senate again in fiscal year 2022 with USD 499 Galena. And then this is the House position again on education. Again, that's in Senate Bill 175. So that would be items 2, 3, and 4. Judicial Branch for pay increases, again, concurred with the Senate, reviewed omnibus, and that goes for item number 1. State Bank Commissioner for 2023, again, concur with the Senate and reviewed omnibus. And then in fiscal year 2024, in regards to judge pay increases, concurred with the Senate and will review it omnibus. So I'll stop there if you have any questions about package 1.
Not a question, but on the page 1, third down, Judicial Branch, on the docket shortages, the reason we kind of wanted to push that off to omnibus is because we're hoping maybe there's some federal dollars that we could channel into that, because that was truly virus related where they couldn't hold court and their docket fees were down that much.
Well, as somebody that served on the Spark Committee, as did the ranking member in the Appropriations Committee, we don't know what that language is going to look like from the federal government. And when we were on that Spark Committee, there was very strict guidelines from the federal government on what that money could be used for. And federal dollars at that time could not be used for that. You could not backfill a budget with the federal dollars that were coming in, even if it was a result of COVID-19. So we don't know what the language that's going to be coming from the latest relief package is going to look like. CARES Act 2 was very similar from the relief money that came in from the federal government in December. It was very specific and tied for a specific purpose. That's why the Spark Committee didn't have to meet, was because the federal government had such strict guidelines with that money, we couldn't use it for other than what the federal government had stated. So given what we have experienced with the federal dollars that have come into the state of Kansas, and obviously this is the judicial branch is short this amount of money because they were not able to have the court proceedings throughout the state of Kansas. And that's why we went ahead and funded it through state general fund. Now, there's always the question that the federal relief package, the latest one that was passed, could go and backfill budgets. We don't know that specifically as of yet. So we could backfill the SGF portion that we have going to this, but that'd be when we receive the language and the restrictions of the money that the federal government is going or has been sending to the state of Kansas.
Okay, and on the first one, on Department of Education, you said that is in Senate Bill 175?
Yeah, if you look at the description, the original description, it has that it was deleted from the Department of Education budget from substitute for House Bill 2397, and then inserted for the Department of Education budget in substitute for House Bill 2119. So 2119 was the education budget bill for K through 12 education that passed the House last week, right? And then they went to conference and they inserted it into Senate Bill 175.
Thank you. You guys have any questions? Senator Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could you, on page 2, could you explain page 4, item 4, just a little bit more about what your position is? You're eliminating the deferred maintenance requirement that's listed in the descriptor?
Yeah, this came as a discussion when we were doing the budget bill. And so there's $10 million that's allocated for need-based aid scholarship and recruitment fund to be distributed for the state universities in Washburns. And then there was to provide also basically a condition in there that if the student was attended and enrolled in an in-person class and then it changed to virtual in either 20 or 21, then some of the institutions have, and also this also goes to meal plans and dorm room fees and everything, they've not really reimbursed students back. They've given them credits. Well, some of the students have left or they're not attending that university anymore. And the only place that you can use those credits is on the university itself. And so this is saying that there would be a direct reimbursement. Now, the original language had said that they would do the direct reimbursements once they follow the board policies on deferred maintenance. That was generating confusion because then people thought this was addressing deferred maintenance, which really it wasn't. And it also says that they're going to follow the policy. And as I mentioned before, there is a policy for deferred maintenance, but the Board of Regents right now is restructuring that policy. And they haven't come to a consensus yet on what that policy will look like for the future. So we just decided when we were talking just to take out basically, and be where that semicolon is at after direct reimbursements, add a period, and then strike all the words after that, and then start again with the state universities in Washburn are directed to use the funds for need-based scholarships and student recruitment per board policies.
Could I have a couple follow-up questions, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you. So do you have any idea what the total amount of reimbursements might be?
I do not.
Okay. And that last sentence, does that mean the whole, once you do the reimbursements, the rest would be, must be allocated for scholarships and student recruitment?
Well, no, the $10 million is for need-based aid scholarship and recruitment fund. The reimbursements, again, the universities have been receiving federal funds where they could reimburse students back or credit students back. That's where the money would be used for the reimbursements, be the federal dollars. The $10 million is for the need-based aid scholarship and recruitment fund.
Okay, thank you. I think I understand now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Okay, we'll move on to package number 2. There's actually a total of 3 packages, just to let you be aware, but these are smaller than the first one. So this is basically, I would say, the social services package. So out of the package that you had provided with us last, we took the offer that you had in that package, which was a House modified position for the items on page 2 for KDADs, items number 1 and 2, with a House modified position to provide a $15 per day increase for both of those items. In regards to KDAD's item number 5 on page 2, be the 5% increase for the community-based services intellectual developmental disability waiver. And that was the House position that we kind of offered, I think, 2 rounds ago, modified House and changed that to 3 months. In the last offer you had, you took the House position of breaking up the final payment for PMIB into 2, and so we have that same option there. We did concur with the Senate in regards to Board of Pharmacy for the K-Trax items number 1 and 2. In regards to the local health departments, I believe that amount was $1 million. So we concurred, or we took the House position, add the funding, because that was in the last package. Also, the same with the add funding for the primary health projects and the community-based primary care grants. We did concur with the Senate on the next item to $150,000 for the school-based oral health preventative services, and then the House position on the Kansas trauma program. Both for those were $150,000. In the last package that you had, you also had that you agreed with the House in regards to the $19 million to the CHIP program, so we left that in. Then we kept the House language in regards to the Department of Health and Environment, Health, page 7, item 10. And then also with item 11 on page 7 for KDHE Health, same House language.
Excuse me.
Yes.
On them last 2, so House language, is that what we had offered?
No, I believe that's the original House language
All right.
in our budget bill.
So when our offer here, I'm trying to go back and forth on this too quick, but so on our offer, we offered Senate position, and now you're back to House, or did we offer you the House position? And
We are going back to the
concurring?
House position. I think you offered the Senate,
Okay. That's
and
why
we
I-
were going back to the House position.
Okay.
I do believe in item number 11 from the newborn screening fund, you did agree with the House in your package. All right, so in KDAD's, page 7, number 1, that would be the $10 increase for the daily reimbursement rate for nursing facilities. We are basically, I think in the package that you had, you concurred with the House and didn't add the funding, so we maintained that. We had some discussion, putting it lightly, in regards to the next item, in regards to the moratorium. And I know you had mentioned that there was going to be a delay of 3 months from July 1 to October 1. Well, the Secretary of KDAD's, Secretary Howard, has already indicated that they're planning on lifting the moratorium by December of 2021. They're actually hoping to do that earlier. So we really don't see any need for this language.
Well, I think the need is, we had a proviso in the last bill last year for youth beds in western Kansas.
I remember that.
There's still no youth beds a year later. So I think I think we're going to stick with our language. I think it's important. If she's going to have it done anyway, it isn't going to mean anything. But
Well,
if she doesn't, I think
big-
it's going to hold them to
The big difference between what we had last year in regards to KVC and this is we provided funding for it. We put $4 million in for those beds. Now, whether the beds are there or not, that's different. But we actually provided funding. What makes this problematic is there's no funding. It's saying to open it up, but we're not going to staff it. We're not going to have any money for extra beds. And we could find ourselves actually in violation with CMS. That's why this language is problematic, and that's why it's different than the youth beds in KVC. It's saying to lift it, but we're not giving any funding to do it. And if we're going to be delaying it until October of 2021, and she's saying, I know there might be some reservations of actually her following through, given what, happened last year, and I completely understand that. We don't see there's a reason for the language.
It's a big deal in the Senate, tell you that.
Do what?
I said this is a big deal in the Senate. And I would tell you, without it, I'm not sure we got enough votes to get this across the line.
Representative Wolfmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I could maybe just add a little more. So I know that the secretary is planning, I think she committed within the next 8 to 10 weeks. She's got additional beds, Osawatomie-like beds at 2 separate ends of the state so that it would take some of the pressure off the beds. So rather than just have them all sit in Osawatomie where, your families of these patients may be spread out, you would have additional beds in, I think, Kansas City and I think Newton. I'm not sure of those locations. And I'm not sure if you were all aware of that. So that will have the effect of adding a lot more beds. They just won't be located in, for example, Osawatomie.
I don't think this says Osawatomie. It says,
Well-
state hospitals, which could be
Larned.
It
Right.
could be, yeah.
I was using Osawatomie, for example, but I was just trying to let you know that there are additional beds coming much sooner, and I'm not sure if your member who is very interested in that knew that.
So evidently, they do have funding if they're getting these things together, because they didn't ask for any funding.
I think that was already in the budget, from what I understand, I'm sure it was for those. So it's more the regional model to sort of spread it out so that you don't have all your beds located in one spot, and you sort of save on capital because you're not having to just, you have some existing places that are going to take some of those, become new beds. So I think that would be very helpful.
I don't think this precludes them from going to Larner or any state hospital. I think it's state hospitals. It doesn't say Osawatomie or Larner. It's spread them out. We're good with that.
Right. So this is adding beds, though.
Right, we need beds.
Right.
Mental health is a serious issue in Kansas, and so far, we've dropped the ball.
I completely agree. I'm probably one of the biggest mental health supporters up here. To get those beds at Osawatomie or Larned, they haven't even been able to hire the employees yet, so I know that's also an issue. So, and as the chairman said, if we rush this and don't do it right, we could end up being certified, and then we're way behind where we are even currently now. So I absolutely understand the concern, though.
Any further comments? All right. The next item, KDAD's, item number 3 on page 7. We're not going to add the funding, but we will review the 988 Behavioral Health Crisis Hotline and Omnibus. KDAD's, page 7, number 5. Concur with the House and add the funding. That's for the 3% increase for Medicaid reimbursement rate for nursing facilities. In your package, you concurred with the House in adding the funding for the Senior Care Act. In regards to add language directing the agency to establish process for certification and funding for certified community behavioral health clinics. Concur with the House and add the language We concur with the Senate in regards to the community-based services intellectual developmental disability waiver and taking your position of, I believe it was $31 million in total. We have a House modified on KDAD's page 8, item number 12, and that is the hourly rate, and we went to $42 an hour. Then we have this item, we have in regards to being reviewed at omnibus, which is the performance-based budgeting amendment. Senate and House had very similar language, just we're still trying to work out who's going to be the responsible party for the audits. And so we have language, but we just want to discuss that at omnibus. We concurred with the Senate like we did in 2021 in regards to K-Trax for the Board of Pharmacy. So both items 1 and 2 are Senate position. And then on item number 1 on page 10, again, we had that language of the House not having that language in our budget bill. So I'll stop for any questions in regards to package 2.
The last one you said what now?
It's the same language that you had as a floor amendment for the moratorium.
Okay. Don't see any questions.
Okay, I'll move on to package number 3. The first is Highway Patrol. We have a House modified from the original submission to the governor and what was recommended by her. We have $5.7 million for a new helicopter. We would also add $2.25 million for a light plane similar to the Cessna 206, and then obviously both of us agreed on the FLIR, so that's $700,000 for that. It's already pretty much agreed upon. We concurred with the Senate and add the language with requirements the agency find state general fund savings among other environmental specialist inspection staff positions within the Department of Health and Environment. It's on page 3, item 1. In your last package, you had to concur with the House in regards to the Tuttle Creek Lake dredging. Same position in the last package with concurring to the House and transferring $1.2 million to EDIF, or from EDIF, sorry. And then this in regards to bids, in the last package, you had basically accepted our position for items 1, 2, and 3. And 3 is the pay for items 1 and 2. For EDIF, and the last package, it was concur with the House and delete the transfer. Again, here is the 2% reduction. That was a floor amendment in the House. So we concur with the Senate and do not delete the funding. And then we keep the House language on the next 3 items in regards to the Department of Corrections to add $1.5 million for the juvenile crime community prevention, delete $1.5 million for the evidence-based juvenile programs, and then delete $300,000 from the evidence-based juvenile programs account to make funds available to the juvenile transitional crisis center, which we talked about before. So I'll stand for any questions.
Senator Hawk.
Thank you. Could you explain to me on those last 3 items on the evidence-based programs, why those allocations could not come through the existing? And I think in previous budget, you accepted the Senate's position on the $21 million that went into evidence-based programs. Is there any reason why those programs couldn't be funded through that budget line in whatever process corrections does?
Well, and it probably could. And there obviously could be an adjustment made. In regards to the House position, we had the total amount of money that was swept from the governor of $42 million going back into that juvenile program. You guys had only decided about 21, so we took your position. But if we wanted to find a avenue of paying for that, we could probably look at that because there's basically $20 million below right now from what the House position was.
I think there's still some money in that line item that carries over in addition to that extra money, is there not?
There's a question. Some are saying there is, some are saying there will not be a carryover. Depends who you talk to.
Okay, good, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Senator Clays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of questions. I'll start at the beginning of package 3 on the highway patrol with the modified house position. Does that include sale of any aircraft, or are you just adding aircraft?
No, and that should be included as well. It would include that they sell or trade the 1978 and the 1998 Cessnas.
Would it be possible to get an updated yellow for our overnight review of this that has those corrections that we noted previously, and then some additional language that clarifies some of those points?
Yeah, we will be trading in 2 planes. for one.
Excellent. And then I did want to just speak briefly to the Department of Corrections. You know, when you and I entered the House in 2013, if you look at the amount of money we were spending on corrections, it's nearly doubled since then. We keep getting told that there are programs that are going to save us money, and I haven't seen anything that gives us any sort of confidence that money's being saved when we're over $200 million in additional spending. I have a real hard time continuing to add to this pile without any evidence that we're actually saving money when that budget has nearly doubled over the last 8 years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, and I would say since for many years on the Appropriations Committee, when you were in the House, you served as the chairman of the Transportation and Public Safety Committee, Budget Committee. So I would probably say you have more knowledge in that arena than I do.
Senator Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm a little bit confused and apologize for not asking sooner in our deliberations on the bids. It looked to me like, but I'm not hearing you say that you added 3.9 million and 200,000, which totals 4.1 million. And then on the page 9, on item 3, you deleted it. So does that mean you're not actually funding items 1 and 2 on the bottom of page 8?
No, that's the pay for items number 1 and 2.
But you, okay, so you're deleting that money from SGF and transferring it to bids, is that?
Yes.
Okay. That was not clear to me. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, there it is.
Well, thank you. I guess we'll go look at this. I mean, we're serious about staying late, if you guys would.
There's also a couple of provisos that we'd like you to consider as well in regards to this package. The first is in regards to the director of the Kansas Water Office, and this allows them to make transfers on any item of the appropriation fiscal year 2022 for the State Water Plan Fund. This is something that we've kind of included before. The other would actually, I think on the sheet that I have, it has for fiscal year 21, 22, and 23, but also fiscal year 24. And this would be in regards to public broadcasting. And I would say if they receive any money from the Economic Development Initiatives Fund, and basically it says to receive those funds, you have to stay and reside in the existing facility that you currently have, because we don't want to have state money going towards the possibility of looking at a different facility. And so that's be effective in fiscal year 21, 22, 23, and 24. And then Representative Hoffman has one in regards to unemployment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This would be for fiscal years 21 and 22, and it would we've got a bill right now in conference. It's a Senate substitute for House Bill 2196, which is our major unemployment bill for the year, that sets up a, basically a council to help with the redesign of the unemployment system that would be made up of several different stakeholders. This particular proviso would prevent the administration or the agencies from going into any agreement or RFP to do modernization without either that bill passing and that council okaying it or legislative coordinating council. Is that?
This is for the modernization?
It is, yeah. So the issue is, if you've seen the headlines, or the governor put out a press release just a couple days ago saying that she was starting the modernization process and she was putting out an RFP. It basically circumvents the bill that we have in conference right now, and it's going around the council or the oversight council that we've been putting together with that bill, which would be very helpful in making sure that we get a program out there that works for our stakeholders. So this would prevent that RFP or the contracts from going forward until we have more clarity on that bill.
Okay. You know, if you guys want to continue to work, we could go discuss this offer and bring our offer back. I'd say, I don't know, if you're wanting to grab something to eat or something, we could come back at 9. It's about an hour, or you just want to stay at this? We can probably be back in, 10 till. That gives us about 40 minutes to look this over.
So you're saying 8:50?
Yep,
That'd be fine.
okay.